Test.
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 Test. Bajamos.
You have 1 minute left in your setup period. You may now begin your presentation.
Did any of you know how Guatemala was 40 years ago compared to Malaysia, Singapore, or Egypt?
And how we are today.
Women's unemployment rate in Guatemala is 3 times higher than that of Japan.
An average working citizen in the United States earns 15 times more than an average working citizen in Guatemala.
Guatemala has become one of the most expensive countries to invest because of violence and organized crime.
According to the World Bank, Hong Kong is ranked second on the doing business list. Guatemala is ranked 101.
Guatemala is one of the 10 poorest countries in Latin America. 50% of the Guatemalan population lives in poverty and 15% in extreme poverty.
This is our country's reality. This is what we face daily.
But there is still hope.
There are still those who are making a substantial change with effort and determination. Those who are paying it forward. We are SIFE VDG.
We are the University of the Valley of Guatemala, a multidisciplinary team who is empowering others to become entrepreneurs. This is why I'm a cipher. My name is Ingrid Lemus and I study civil engineering.
Only 1.8% of the Guatemalan population has access to higher education. This compromises us to pass on our knowledge to form new leaders. My name is Ricardo Parada and I study industrial engineering.
These new leaders that we have empowered now have the necessary skills to form their own business and become new agents of change. My name is Gabriela Mejia and I study industrial engineering.
With our projects, we've created a network of new community leaders that can reach national levels. This compromised me to make a difference. My name is Raul Ricci and I study industrial engineering.
We implement projects that attend our country's need and have a committed team that guarantees the continuity of our projects. This improves the quality of life and standard of living of the people we work with. My name is Maria Pais and I study psychology.
We know Guatemala has the resources and we have the capacity. We are setting an example for future generations and this is our legacy.
Sustainability is the key element that strengthens our inner structure, allowing us to effectively empower our impacted communities to improve their quality of life and standard of living in the long term.
SIFE is structured as a company, and applying our advisors' knowledge and expertise, we're able to bring these projects' strategies and operations to business reality.
The IT department developed its own enterprise resource planning system, which facilitates information flow between all of our business departments up to date, according to our team's need.
Our finance department allows us to make fast decisions regarding investment, acquisition, and management of financial resources, to direct the optimal amount of resources to each project, so community leaders can grow in their business and pay it forward.
We know that the core of any company is its human resource. Therefore, we have an efficient recruitment, selection, training, and motivational personnel program.
SIFE has a well-structured succession plan. 60% of our members are in their first to third year. Each graduate student trains his or future replacement during the last year of work, and we evaluate their work with a 360 survey.
In conclusion, we have an IT department that keeps track of the important information up to date, a finance department that allows us to invest correctly in our communities for their growth and sustainability, and a human resources department that recruits the right members and keeps the team motivated to pass on our legacy and pay it forward.
Our team's sustainability guarantees the continuity of our projects, which ultimately leads to ensure that we are making a difference in our country's long-term quality of life and standard of living.
Currently, we have 6 projects, of which we will present 4.
Compared to Japan, the unemployment of women in Guatemala is 3 times higher.
We started a project to effectively empower women with low income.
We established a company that can be handled from home without neglecting their responsibilities.
Eco-weaving represents a feasible solution for women with low resources to get actively involved in the economy chain of our country.
We empower these women to elaborate eco-weavings, products such as keychains, bracelets, headbands, and purses made from the pre-consumption industrial waste.
So, you reuse food packaging to make eco-weavings?
No, we obtain the raw material from industries, becoming a solution to reuse part of their waste, creating innovative products, and implementing CSR projects.
Eco-weaving is divided into 3 phases: production, sales, and marketing, completely managed by these ladies.
We focus on optimizing our production to reduce costs, produce massively, but mainly to increase the ladies' earnings.
As a new SIFE UVG entrepreneurial approach, we offer companies that produce industrial waste to sell them back the eco-weavings that promote their own brands.
Applying business and economic concepts, we signed our first contract with Colgate in March 2011, where we sold 400 bracelets.
Because of this contract, the women obtained in just 1 week 1/3 of the minimum wage, and their income was increased by 92%.
We've also established 3 points of sale.
We manage sales over $1,600. 35% of this is used to pay the ladies, 19% covers material costs, and 46% is used to reinvest in the communities. This means that more than 80% is used to empower these women.
This year, each woman earned an average of $30 per month. But you may be wondering, is this really substantial?
With $30, each woman can buy enough toilet paper, soap, sugar, and tortillas for a month.
So the income becomes representative for the women and their families.
We have worked with 15 women from 4 different groups.
2 of these groups are from red zone ghettos. The other group is part of an isolated community with little economic opportunities. And the 4th group welcomes ladies that have been sexually abused.
We empower them with the necessary tools, such as an eco-weaving user manual and workshops.
With the support of our school psychology department, we've given workshops on self-esteem, accounting, motivation, entrepreneurship, teamwork, and family quality time to improve their standard of living.
Now the ladies support each other, feel capable of doing new jobs, and show other ladies what they have learned. And also, they now feel more confident to become heads of family, a role that generally only belonged to the father.
We will continue giving our workshops working side by side with the women to make sure they have the necessary tools to succeed on their own and to convince them they can do more than they ever thought.
Guatemala's economy is mainly based on agriculture. It constitutes 13% of the GDP and represents 26% of Guatemala's exportations.
It would appear as if agriculture gives an opportunity to a better life for many Guatemalans, but this is the reality. 50% of the Guatemalan population works in farming, in which only 20% receives a salary that guarantees food and shelter for their family, and the other 80% works for auto consumption, earning less than $1 per day.
Most farmers who actually use agriculture only for consumption don't have access to invest in more efficient crop technology, nor the education to improve their agricultural practices, which is generally based on empirical methods and experience.
Considered in this social and economic environment, SIFE UBG has developed a project to respond to this need with macrotunnels.
But what are macrotunnels?
Macrotunnels are an undercover crop technology specially designed for vegetables. Compared to greenhouses, they are less expensive structures, making them an affordable alternative for low-resource Guatemalan farmers. These structures are covered with a biodegradable fabric that prevents crop diseases and reduces the use of pesticides in 30%.
So, macrotunnels also treat directly environmental factors. And how are you implementing this technology?
Well, the first step was to give microloans to the interested people so they could have a starting capital.
So, SIFE UVG first has to count with the necessary funds to provide microloans so they can start their new business?
Exactly, Ingrid. Using economic and business concepts, SIFE UBG has developed 3 ways to come up with this starting capital. First, we partnered with Pantaleon, one of the biggest Latin American sugar mill companies, to give microloans to the sugar cane cutters to install macrotunnels in their own lands. Second, SIFE UBG created an investment fund with an 8% annual return over investment to obtain external capital to invest in new communities. And finally, to expand nationwide, we partnered with Genesis Empresarial, one of the biggest national microfinance institutions, who will provide their microfinance structure and their client portfolio.
With an effective capital structure, I imagine that you select your communities based on a previously developed profile, which considers having land, access to water, proper soil, slight experience in cultivation, capacity to pay interest, an organized association, and a potential market to sell vegetables?
That's right. How'd you guess?
Aren't we in SIFE focused on correctly choosing our communities to effectively empower them on the long term?
Yes, but during this pre-selection process, we not only take into account these factors. Our education members make a needs assessment to determine the best teaching method according to the community's environment.
And then you sign a contract with the new entrepreneurs to start the new micro company?
Yes, but keep going.
As SIFE UVG, we give trainings to the family leaders on subjects such as proper farming techniques, administration, and accounting. And then these trained leaders train the rest of the community, developing a collaborative approach to pay it forward.
To make sure our workshops are successful on the long term, we complement our work with the most experienced company on macrotunnel crop technology. The chosen farmers receive proper training in this company during 3 days.
Finally, SIFE UVG, along with the community leaders, studies all surrounding points of sale to determine the most profitable distribution channels and to make sure they have an already established client portfolio.
And you may be wondering, when SIFE UBG's trainings end, are the farmers left on their own?
We first work side by side with them during 6 months or 2 harvesting cycles. And to make sure they will succeed on their own on the long term, we give each family an agriculture, administration, and finance handbook to support our previous trainings.
Now, let's explain our results.
The first macrotunnel was installed last October in Quiché. We worked with a sugar cane cutter impacting a family of 8 that generated $250 during the first harvesting cycle.
The second macrotunnel was installed, working with another sugar cane cutter impacting a family of 10. The crops are still in the growing phase.
Sugar cane cutters usually work in sugar mills only during 6 months of the year. During the other 6 months, the cane cutter and his family will have to live on what was generated during the previous period.
Therefore, with macrotunnels, they can obtain an extra income during the sugar's non-harvesting period.
This year, we also installed 6 macrotunnels in another community. We made an impact in seven families that have generated $420 and still have 4 months of harvesting left.
This community was deeply affected during the Civil War because they were forced to leave their lands and they had trouble establishing again. So macrotunnels has given them the opportunity to obtain an extra income.
Finally, we installed 3 macrotunnels in a religious institution that used to rely only on donations. With macrotunnels, we made an impact in 16 people that will generate $1,000 and now produce for auto consumption and to sell.
To make sure our impacted people feel owners of the new company and capable of managing them, we organized a party with the whole family and a motivational video for them.
These activities allow us to develop a closer relationship with the families and strengthens their teamwork abilities.
With 9% internal rate of return and a 51% return over investment, macrotunnels is an economical, sustainable solution for these families.
59% of the Guatemalan population is underemployed or has an informal job.
However, Guatemala has a high rate of companies formation, but most of them go bankrupt in a couple of years. This indicates the existence of entrepreneurs, but not the adequate skills or knowledge to succeed.
The University of the Valley performed a needs assessment identifying the lack of entrepreneurship.
LIFE, Leading Future Entrepreneurs, presented an integral plan for students' careers to develop feasible business plans in a standard way. This implies the difference between a successful enterprise and one that can be properly conceived. Tell them, how does it work?
First, students have to solve real-life cases from prestigious companies and present the solution to the company's executives. And second, they have to build a business plan to ensure the formation of long-term enterprises.
We're awakening the entrepreneurial spirit, impacting directly more than 300 students who can then pay it forward by becoming successful employers.
To become a nationwide project, we made an alliance with the most important national institution of professional formation.
We will begin with a pilot project with 30 students, and based on our results, we will then expand our methodology using e-learning tools to reach all of the educational educational programs of this institution.
Altogether, this project has given more than $5,000, which guarantees our team's sustainability.
We've created a nationwide project for a nationwide problem.
Guatemala City alone generates more than 2,000 tons of garbage each day, and 80% of this is recyclable.
Sadly, only 5% is actually classified and recycled from the beginning.
Environmental conscience in Guatemala is poorly considered, so most people don't treat their waste correctly, which has led to an excessive accumulation of garbage.
Our government does not have a well-structured recycling program, and the environmental ministry is just beginning to raise awareness.
4 years ago, Guatemala didn't have a solid infrastructure for correct waste handling. Classification was an isolated effort.
This is why Reinventing was born.
Our mission is to create a cultural change, improving the quality of life for impacted people by creating a recycling culture and improving the standard of living by generating income for community leaders in need.
Reinventing developed a methodology to massively implement recycling programs.
We first identify our audiences according to a needs assessment, in which we look for a non-existing recycling culture, and we consider social, economic, environmental, and health factors.
We then give workshops on recycling and its benefits, focusing on developing a collaborative approach.
As SIFE EVG, we also created recycling learning activities to get our targeted audiences effectively involved in the recycling lifestyle.
We then generate income by selling the material to our allied recycling companies.
And then reinvest in eco-projects, focusing on choosing correctly the people that we have to empower so they can create their own recycling micro-companies with our assessment.
To effectively empower our targeted audiences, Reinventing is divided into 3 micro-companies: Reinventing Schools, Recyclathon, and Reinventing Communities.
Because private schools lack recycling programs, we created Reinventing Schools.
We've given workshops to more than 2,900 kids from 6 different schools, creating a recycling habit from the beginning.
A collaborative approach was also developed. The trained students teach the non-trained to follow the recycling program.
Through our workshops and the students' enthusiasm, we've managed to collect over 8,900 pounds and generate an economic income that wasn't there before.
In the capital city, household waste is managed by the City Hall, but the service does not demand a process of classification and correct treatment.
This is why the levels of pollution in Guatemala City doubled the maximum standards set by the World Health Organization. To attend this need and penetrate a disregarded market segment, we invented the Recyclathon.
To create a top-of-mind awareness, the Recyclathon started the first Sunday of every month. We use one of the most important public square plazas in the capital city as a massive collection center, and we receive the citizens' recyclable material.
Because of the social responsibility and the environmental care that we project, we've become the chosen solution for different cultural events, and of course, a well-known recycling brand.
With all of the Recyclathon's events, we have collected over 50,000 pounds of recyclable material
And generated over $2,300.
But our biggest accomplishment with the Recyclathon is changing people's habits to assume the recycling culture.
To keep expanding our projects, we have implemented in 10 companies and 5 buildings.
All the income generated from Recyclathon and Reinventing Schools is reinvested in Reinventing Communities.
Hola. Cuéntanos, ¿qué pasaba antes con las botellas?
Las tirábamos en barrancos y calles.
¿Y qué es lo que hacen ahora?
Reciclarlas.
Reinventing Communities has 2 important goals: to educate community on correct waste handling and to create recycling micro-companies completely managed by community leaders.
People in these communities are constantly exposed to precarious conditions, violence, poverty, and lack of education.
And they generally don't have a district dump or a suitable waste collection service.
This past June, we made a strategic alliance with an organization that has 16 established community centers.
We partnered to implement Reinventing Communities methodology. We implemented this program in 6 communities, and next year we will expand to the 11 remaining communities.
We have given workshops on recycling for more than 2,000 people.
We prepare motivational activities so the children feel identified with the recycling culture and at the same time develop a close relationship with them.
We opened 6 collection centers of recyclable material.
We transfer valuable knowledge and accounting so a community leader can manage it completely in a 6-month period.
We give this opportunity to community leaders who didn't have a fixed income before.
This way, the collection center represents an increase of more than 25% in the monthly income for 6 new entrepreneurs and their families.
Now the impacted people has adopted the recycling culture, which they didn't have prior to our work with them.
Because we need adequate waste management in all of Guatemala, we started working with the environmental ministry structuring recycling programs to get the support we need to expand nationwide.
We began with a pilot project located outside our capital city, opening 10 collection centers of recyclable material in 10 public schools.
We gave one recycling workshop to 50 school leaders from the 10 public schools, and developing a collaborative approach, they were able to reach more than 2,000 students.
In 1 month, the students collected more than 9,000 pounds. 9,000 pounds that are equivalent to $400.
School leaders had structured projects but didn't count with the funds to develop them. The income generated from SIFE UBG's recycling programs gave them the opportunity to get them implemented.
Because of the obtained results, they will independently continue with the recycling program.
The environmental ministry now has to approve the program to get it implemented at a national level.
This year, we collected more than 160 pounds, generating almost $8,000.
Which represents the initial investment for 17 new micro companies and an increase of more than 200% compared to last year.
We opened 6 new micro companies, generating a monthly sustainable income for 6 families.
Impacting directly more than 9,000 people who now adopted the recycling culture.
We will now explain how our projects meet the SIFE criteria.
Guatemalan women have less job opportunities than men, and only 16% of them are economically active.
Industries generally incinerate their waste.
In eco-weaving, with a handcraft handbook and workshops of accounting, self-esteem, and entrepreneurship, they can adapt to their new entrepreneurial lifestyle.
In the needs assessment, we identify women that have no income and have to stay home to take care of their children.
We reduced production costs to increase earnings, and we created a client portfolio for the ladies.
15 ladies and their families have a 300% increase in their income and now feel capable of doing new jobs.
40% of the Guatemalan population works in farming for auto-consumption, earning less than $1 per day.
With macrotunnels, pesticide use is reduced in 30%.
We give workshops and handbooks on farming techniques, administration, and accounting to the community leaders, who then train the rest of the community.
During the needs assessment, our education members identify farmers who have no fixed income, capital access, nor good agricultural practices.
SIFE UBG gives farmers 3 ways to finance the macrotunnels and also establishes the most profitable client portfolio for them.
With pre and post tests, we are able to measure that now 7 farmers are able to manage their own companies, and with the sales of vegetables will increase their family income.
59% of the Guatemalan population is underemployed.
In life, our target audience received marketing, finance, and strategic planning, and management workshops to create a business plan.
During a needs assessment, the lack of entrepreneurship was identified in the scholar curricula.
SIFE UBG created a simple, replicable methodology to create a business plan.
More than 300 students are continuously evaluated to make sure they have the necessary skills and knowledge to be future entrepreneurs.
In Guatemala, less than 4% of the garbage is recycling from the beginning, and a recycling culture does not exist.
With Reinventing's recycling workshops, now more than 9,000 people recycle with us, and they have reached more than 27,000 people.
During the needs assessment, we identify people in marginal communities who are constantly exposed to precarious health and living conditions.
SIFE UBG made 4 new strategic alliances that allowed an increase in more than 100% in the project's income and more than 200%.
More than 9,000 people impacted and 6 community leaders who have increased their income in 25% with the newer recycling companies.
With the positive power of business, we've transformed dreams into reality.
Lo de los macrotúneles, sí, es impresionante realmente cómo es que se puede cambiar el sistema de siembra, ¿verdad? Y se puede aumentar la producción. Es una forma realmente de cómo un agricultor puede sobresalir más que todo con su familia, ¿verdad? No solo trabajando en las fincas, sino que uno mismo puede hacer su pequeña empresa, ¿no?
We created opportunities, giving them the resources and awoken the entrepreneurial spirit that was already in them.
We grew 60% in impacted communities.
10,000 people directly impacted.
We created 30 new entrepreneurial opportunities.
At least 25% increase in income in our projects.
And most importantly, our projects now have the foundations for a long-term national impact.
Because in SIFE UBG, we're not dreaming of a better tomorrow.
We're making it happen!
Thank you, SIFE Guatemala. Judges, you may now begin your question and answer period.
The material used for the macrotunnels is vinyl. What kind of product is that?
It's a fabric imported from France. The fabric that covers the crops.
Okay. What do farmers do with it after the usage of that material?
They dispose them in a dump, in a local dump.
They're not recycled?
They are biodegradable, so when it is disposed, it is degraded in a fewer time than other fabrics.
For the microloans, could you tell me how large were the microloans and what % of the loans that were applied for were approved?
We work with this foundation that that already has a client portfolio. So with our profile, we identified communities that already have the microloans approved, and they have to pay only the interests during the non-harvest. Then when the crops are growing and when they start selling vegetables, they have to start paying the rest of the microloan.
But right now, as you saw, our project is divided into two parts. We have an investment fund where we attract investors from different companies, and then we presented this program to the microloan company. Right now, the 7 families that are working with us are being financed by our investment fund, and the alliance we made with this microloan company was made about 2-3 weeks ago. So we will continue. Our goal with this company is that next year we implement 500 microtunnels approved by this microloan company.
What lessons do you learn about working together as a team while you narrowed your focus on these projects?
Where
Could
do
you please?
No, I understood the question. You know, I don't know. A lot of factors. You know, we are friends in school, but we have a real work there. We have responsibilities with the people. We have to meet their standards and meet everything they're waiting. You know, these people are waiting for us to help them develop. And so if we are not serious about what we do, if we are not constant about what we do, we will not achieve their improvement of standard of living that they are expecting when we present them things.
Okay.
Can you please talk about, I'm sorry.
My question is on your echo weaving. My question is, what material is being used for the bracelets and so on and so forth? And how sustainable is the availability of that material? And then sorry, there are 3 questions. And then how are you expanding the number of participants in this project?
The kind of material we use is pre-consumption industrial waste. This means that the companies that have industrial waste that they don't need anymore, they give it to us before it comes into contact with beverages or food. The second question was?
I know. The second question about expanding our market. Yeah, we are focusing right now on this group of women, so they can establish their own company. After we get that established, maybe they can hire more people. But you know, we have 2 different markets right now. We have the markets like, for say, in the United States, where this product has popularity, so we can export. We've made a little pilot projects with this, and we have another market that is in our country. We're introducing the product. People like it. It's cool. It's new, and so they are going to buy it.
And I remembered your second question was about the companies. The way we make sure that we're going to have enough material to make the eco-weavings is it's waste they don't need, and that generally implies a cost because they have to incinerate it. So this way, we are environmentally helping them. It's also a CSR project because they know they're helping ladies, And also, we sign contracts every time we receive the donated material. And this, we do it like, let's say we need 400 eco-weavings of a certain type, then we, with the company, we directly...
Your time has expired. Judges, please join me in thanking the University of the Valley of Guatemala SIFE team from Guatemala.